Hi, I'm Stargate Pioneer.
And I'm Steven Jondrew, and we're from Better Podcasting, a proud member of the Gonna Geek Network.
Just like the show you're listening to now.
The opinions expressed are those of the individual host.
Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com.
And get ready, because geekiness begins in 3,
2,
1.
This is it. The part of your week where you get to put your headphones on, relax, and listen to a bunch of geeks geek out about geeky things. They're witty.
He loves him some Katy Perry because she kissed a girl and she liked it.
They're crazy.
I like Nickelback personally, but, I'm the fuddy-duddy who likes episode 1.
And sometimes I leave you wondering, what the f***?
I'm pretty sure that here we were starting the hashtag movement, Bring Back Slave Feral.
Gonna Geek Productions presents the official GonnaGeek.com show.
Hello and welcome to episode 190 of the official GonnaGeek.com show. My name is Steven Jondrew, and with me, of course, is the legendary, the king of the podcast, the one and only Chris Farrell.
Hail to the king, baby.
We also, of course, have reunited with us because, we just couldn't shake him, Stargate Pioneer.
If you're the king, Chris, where's your crown, man? Where's the crown? You're no king if you don't have a crown.
I don't need to have a crown.
So here's the thing
important.
right now. We should take a moment here to acknowledge the fact that SP's mom sent me a message saying that I need to be nicer to her son.
That's right,
Yeah,
she did.
That happened. That absolutely happened. And I was
That actually happened. Yep.
very disappointed that you would bring your mother into this. It's just like, I have not brought my mom into this after all the times you've brought my mom into this, and you're going to bring yours? Like, that's unfair.
No, we brought your mom, not your mum.
All I did was turn my phone to her for her to say hi to you, and she said hi, and then she proceeded to tell you to be nice to me. That's all that happened. I just actually was trying to get her to say hi, and she turned around and said, be nice, Steven. Obviously, she sees the brunt of the just terror I have to endure by being on a podcast with you.
Let me guess. She doesn't watch this show at all, does she?
I think she's watching right now. Hi, Mom.
Hi. So all those, first off, I will try to be much nicer to your son because I, unlike your son, have respect for mothers.
Ooh.
That's not what your mom said last night.
Oh, SP, you're back, and you missed a doozy of an episode last week. Thanks again to Suncast, who came on by last week and helped us out with the show. And if you didn't check out 189, you should go back and listen to it because, 189, we talked a lot about the TV season of this year, and that's still coming, and all this other TV stuff. And I know SP, I could hear him yelling at his phone from afar. And so I'm going to give you a few minutes here, SP, to address what was discussed and tell me how right I was about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So go ahead.
I will definitely say that you are Steven wrong, Drew, because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is the best comic book show on TV right now. If you have stopped watching, if you have put it on pause and tried to catch up with other things, you are wrong. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is amazing. Now, I will admit, this season has been chopped up into the pods, quote unquote pods. That is their words, by the way, not mine. That's the showrunners of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's what they're calling it. And I think the pods are put there because they really just don't have enough money to go through with the whole season of CGI, whatever. I think they're doing a great job for what they've got. Another show that's on, comic book show on Fox, actually, is Legion, which it took me about 8 episodes to figure out what the heck was going on in that show. Still not sure if it's a good show or not, but it did keep me interested to figure out what was going on. Over on the CW, you have some great shows like Arrow, Supergirl, The Flash, and Legends of Tomorrow. I think Arrow has definitely redeemed itself this year. I did have an issue about how it's portraying female characters this season. And if you want to catch that, download this week's episode number 150 of the Starling Tribune, and you'll hear my rant. One show on the CW that I have not seen is The 100. And I hear that if you watch all the other CW shows, you might as well see The 100. So I got to see The 100. And then another show that's on right now that's, I think, renewed for next year, and I have no idea why, because it sucks so bad, is Scorpion. Somebody tell me, why is Scorpion still on TV?
Because there is a diehard fan base there, Mr. Pioneer.
I guess, and it's just not the right fan base, though. That show is bad. Another show, which I will give a pass, is called Timeless, and I really hope it gets picked up for a second season because I really enjoyed it. It was time travel done on a network TV show. There was definitely some camp in it, but it was just good, fun TV, and I just hope it gets renewed. Chris, I think, pointed out Star Wars Rebels, and I will agree wholeheartedly with Chris that it is a show that if you have not watched, you need to get caught up on Star Wars Rebels, especially if you're enjoying the Star Wars movies, because this fits right in with the movies. Steven, you and I have had countless discussions about this little show on ABC called Designated Survivor. And you know why the show has that name? Because it has somehow survived being on the air right now.
I was gonna go a different way, by the way. I was gonna say that the reason it's called the Designated Survivor is because there's like one person left watching. They are the Designated Survivor watcher.
It has gone left, right, backwards, up, down. There's been no consistency in storyline. I think we found out that they're on their fourth showrunner in the first season. I mean, that is how messed up the show is. But despite all that, it keeps my attention as I fall asleep at night. So I have been keeping current on that. Okay, now these next two shows, please just let me go through them before you say anything. First is Two Broke Girls. Now, if you've been watching Two Broke Girls from the beginning, you might start to ask yourself, why are you watching Two Broke Girls? And I'll give you two simple words: Kat Dennings. Because Kat Dennings is the reason to watch that show. But here is another show that, as my co-hosts have left, by the way, if you're an audio listener, video, they have literally left the building. The other sitcom that I've been watching is Powerless. And Powerless is not a great show, but it's interestingly enough to keep watching. It's not the best show by any means, but for geeks, it's probably better than Big Bang Theory, which I've also been watching, but I know a lot of people don't like. I think it's time for Big Bang Theory to end. I think we've reached the end of the storylines there. Just my opinion. Last Man Standing. Now, Steven finally got in, and the Hallmark Channel finally got me into Last Man Standing, and I'm catching up all the way from season 1. If you haven't caught that show yet, and you are a fan of Tim Allen, or if you've seen Home Improvement, this is a show for you, Last Man Standing. Probably one of the best shows geek-related on TV is Archer. Because, well, phrasing. Let's bring phrasing back into the equation. That's just an awesome show, and I can't wait for the rest of this season as well as the final next season. Okay, so who here has been watching The Doctor Who?
I've only watched the first episode of this season as part of my grand experiment to see if this season is actually a true good jumping on point like the showrunners have promised. And I'm kind of just meh so far. I said give it 4 episodes.
I like Bill, but I want Clara back. And it's just the way of Doctor Who. You get attached to the previous generation. And although I was never a big Amy Pond fan, I liked her, but she wasn't like the best ever. Everybody hated Clara. I actually liked her. So, go figure. The Americans. If you're not watching The Americans, go back and watch it from the beginning, because if you watch it starting now, you'll be completely confused, but it is some amazing television. Although the best show on TV probably ever for me is The Expanse. And I am savoring the episodes. I know season 2 has ended, but I've seen through the 5th episode of season 2 right now. And I'm just savoring. I'm waiting for times that I can actually sit down and enjoy it on a weekend night. And it's cinematic in nature. It is fantastic. The Expanse is probably the best sci-fi show I've ever seen. My guilty pleasure, just like the guilty pleasure of Steven is Glee, and now that Glee is off, he's watching The Bachelorette. That is his guilty pleasure. Mine is Deadliest Catch, and I will admit it is a guilty pleasure, and it's not as good as it once was, and it's probably headed downhill from here. I don't see it recovering to its height because they're starting to lose the original cast members, and it's starting to get a little bit more scripted. You can tell, like, the fishing isn't scripted, but you can tell, like, the interactions on board the ship's kind of scripted, that sort of thing. And I have to bring this up, otherwise Lauren is going to kill me. Vikings is fantastic, and I thought it was going to take a turn for the worse. It actually was very good. So if you haven't caught up with the History Channel's Vikings, it's very good. One thing that Steven and I, now Chris, have you ever watched Top Gear?
No.
So Top Gear's been on for like 13 seasons, whatever. I think it's 13. Is it more than 13, Steven?
I
13.
think. No, I think it's 13. Isn't it 13 of the like, since it was rebooted, since Clarkson and crew brought it back? But I thought it goes back even further than that because it's like, I thought it went back to the 80s.
Well, I'm not sure how back it does go, but the show, since Clarkson and company were on it, I've been watching it ever since, and it obviously was completely recast 2 series ago, and they just ended the second recast series. I have to say, Matt LeBlanc makes the series. I can't. Joey on Top Gear, it's amazing, and the dude can drive, but more importantly, he doesn't like to drive fast. He likes big machinery, like articulating shovels and crushers, and Joey is absolutely amazing. Matt LeBlanc, of course, is his real name. So if you haven't caught the most recent Top Gear because you're just married to the previous generation of presenters, you might want to catch this one. And going on into the summer, I can't wait for 12 Monkeys, Dark Matter, Killjoys, The Last Ship, my guilty pleasure of the summer, and Venture Brothers. Looking forward to the next season of that. So all good stuff.
You forgot Rick and Morty.
I have not watched Rick and Morty yet, but you're right. I need to. It's
I'm
like
gonna
the
walk
100.
off this set again.
No.
You know what?
A good friend of ours on the network, Ferris, had recommended it to me. I watched like half of the first episode, and I just ran out of time, and I just couldn't fit it in. So I do plan on going back and watching all of Rick and Morty. It seems like right up my alley.
In all fairness, I have also not watched Rick and Morty. I'm the worst. I'm the second worst.
Steven, that doesn't surprise me, though, because you don't even see movies in a timely manner. But you have an excuse. You have small children.
You know what, though? I may not have seen movies, but I at least can recognize their award-winningness. That's right. I definitely can.
For those on the audio podcast, he just showed off his t-shirt for the award-winning Suicide Squad.
The Academy Award-winning Suicide Squad. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I gotta give respect where it's due and everything. So, anyways, again, I apologize to SP's mom because now I've been mean to your son again. My apologies.
I'm bummed that SP took his headphones off because I was going to give him a hard time about 2 of the shows he talked about. I mean, first SP tries to make me listen to something about 2 broke girls, and I was smart enough to take off my headphones and just walk away because that show is just utter trash. And then he completely misspoke. He misphrased Legends of Tomorrow when he was talking about best comic book show on TV. You just said it incorrectly. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not how you say Legends of Tomorrow.
No, I agree with you, actually, by the way, Chris. You are correct. High five.
I do not agree.
There. Oh yeah.
I will summarily. Now, Legends of Tomorrow is a good show, perhaps the best on CW, but it doesn't hold a candle to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Here's my problem with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Okay, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is really, really good right now. but in a lot of ways, it's making up for the crap that it's had. So it's almost like, it's good. It's doing its fan service, but because it shouldn't have even had that in the first place, it's almost a moot point, right? Like, because they're just redeeming themselves. So that's my problem with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that it feels better than it is, but it's still fun ride. And I don't know that ride's lasting much longer, considering I think we just had an exit from one of our infamous people last episode.
Well, one of the people that were just brought on recently, not one of the originals.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about the fact that it looks like the Ward character has done its appearance now.
There's a way they could bring him back.
Because they said bye to him and everything in the last episode. Anyways, let's save that. Go watch Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. podcast. It's on GonnaGeekNetwork.com. They stream live every Wednesday at geeks.live. But SP, thank you so much for sharing your picks. They are very, 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 very much your opinion.
And wrong. I mean, what?
Let's go ahead and move into the news. Here we go. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start off here by talking about how you can cheat with your Apple Watch. Say what? That must mean adultery, right, Chris?
Yes, of course it means adultery, but no, I got this story from the Daily Athenaeum. It is the WVU student-run newspaper, so literally in my backyard, and it kind of intrigued me, and we'll get to why I'm so intrigued, but here's the background on that. They report in the DA that a new technique of cheating was discovered in the West Virginia University chemistry department, according to 3 professors. This semester, students in freshman chemistry class used their phones to take pictures of the exam, and then used Apple Watches to send those answers to other students during the exam. While they were investigating the cheating using the Apple Watch, they said it looks like students had the watches taken off their wristbands and held them in the palms of their hand so it wouldn't be noticeable to professors and teacher assistants in the room that they were getting help. Other details, including the names of the students involved, have not been released because, they're still investigating. They learned about this cheating scandal from a student who saw an Apple Watch being used to send pictures during an exam. They don't know who provided the answers, but basically the basic premise was they took a picture real quick with their phone, sent that to someone somewhere, and then held their Apple Watch in their hand and waited for their friend to send them the answers back as they sat inside the classroom. And when I was reading this article, some of the questions the professors raised is they said, we don't even know who's providing them these answers. They could be sending them to a friend who lives in another state, another country. They could be someone who's not even going to WVU, but it's an incredibly efficient way to cheat, I guess it is. And it kind of brings me to one of those moments of, I never thought of the other implications that smart technologies like smartwatches had in the classroom. I mean, I know when I was going to school, the rule was you always kept your cell phones in your pockets. You kept your calculators in your backpack unless it was an exam where it required you to have to use your calculator. I never would have thought, well, granted, when I was in school, it was 10 years ago. I never would have thought, take your watch off. You can't have that. So very interesting that students have found a way to use the Apple Watch and presumably Android Wear and other devices to help them cheat during exams. It blows my mind. And I really shouldn't, because it's a simple way to cheat. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is this just another instance of people being slightly ahead of the curve and people having to up their game to prevent cheating? Or is it just smartwatches have kind of done something no one expected?
Yeah, so for me, I gotta say, this is something that isn't terribly surprising, because I remember when smartphones became a problem, right? People, all of a sudden, it became like really pushing, put your phones away, when all of a sudden camera phones and stuff came out. So it's not really that surprising to me, because it's just another evolution of that. But I still think, though, it's interesting because, yeah, you're right. Something that for how long have we been able to just have around our wrist? Now we got to start putting them away, because, not everybody's going to be able to tell what a smartwatch is. But it's not that surprising to me, to be honest.
When I was in school, we kept our slide rules in our pockets and we liked it.
What's a slide rule?
Yeah,
No,
it's
I'm
that
kidding.
thing that was developed before computers were small enough to hold in your hand, like with a
I'm not-
calculator.
Wait, there was a time
Yeah.
before computers?
Yes, very much so. And a time before color TV and a time before black and
What?
white TV even.
What?
So
What are these dark ages you speak of, you heathen?
called the 1940s.
1940s?
Pretty much, yeah. There you go. And before, yeah. And this is when people used to sit around the living room and the what was it, the Delmonico whatever radio, and listen to audio plays on Saturday nights, or women wash their hair, one or the other.
I will say this, though. My opinion on this whole Apple Watch getting brought into classrooms, things like that, is that it actually, I think, puts the onus more on the education to figure out an alternative, because this is just showing that they can't get around it. They keep trying to just take away devices, take away things, but it's not going to be possible forever. Next thing you know, you're going to have smart glasses that you can't tell any difference from regular glasses. What are you going to do? Are you going to sit there like checking every single pair of glasses, right? Like, it's going to be a problem. And I think that this just highlights that they need to find a better way to do testing.
Well, you can't do it. The FCC won't let you. It's called cell phone jammer, that you just flip a switch and your cell phones don't work until the test is done.
Well, one day maybe they'll be allowed that.
They don't connect, but you can still use them. I actually agree with Steven. You have to find ways to do it. But on the other hand, you have to find ways to standardize testing as well. So if not everybody has the same level of device, it's not a level playing field. So there's that aspect to it as well. You could give everybody in the room a school-owned device, but then you have to worry about maintaining said device. And we've already seen problems with that, with all these schools getting these free government iPads or whatever, some sort of tablet that they get to take home for a year, then they have to turn them back in. Something inevitably happens to them. The kids drop it, they crack a screen, something like that. But we grew up, well, you guys grew up watching Star Trek Next Generation. And in that, Wesley Crusher, he had all that stuff available to him in school. I mean, even in Star Trek, they were considering advanced technology in the classroom. There's just a whole bunch of stuff that you can do in the classroom to bring it to that next generation of testing. We don't use little handheld slate tablets that Little House on the Prairie used. That was the big thing back then. That was their iPad, is to get a little chalkboard handheld slate. That was the key to education in the late 1800s. And 100 years later, look where we're at.
Well, one thing to consider too is there's really no need for standardized devices, because the way they handle these tests is it's pen and paper and Scantrons. So it's not like you need to make sure everyone has the same tablet or whatever to take the test. It's no, you have your paper, you have your calculator, you do your work.
Right. But
If it was just straight, hold on a second. If it was just straight calculations, I would agree with you. But it's larger than calculations. It's graphing, it's programming, it's
Not for
MATLAB.
chemistry.
Yeah, there's amazing stuff that you can do
these
in there.
chemistry classes at WVU. These kids are cheating on. There was not any graphing of anything in there. We had to diagram atoms and stuff in some cases, but I mean,
so what
it's
we
pretty much
learned
just-
is that WVU offers substandard education according to SP. That's what we learned right now.
Hey, my university's accredited. I took my 2 degrees and ran. That's all I know.
Okay. So actually, Chris brought up a great point during his news point that I want to double tap here, is that somebody or somebodies were sitting behind the scene feeding these kids answers. And I think, have you ever taken an open book test and you've been paging through, like, you really haven't read the frickin' textbook at all. You haven't done a lot of studying, and the teacher is throwing out these questions on this test, knowing that you have to understand 2 or 3 separate points in the book to make it come together. This is the sort of stuff that you can throw on an actual test, no matter if it's an open book or not. And if you're the sole person back and you got like 30 people on their Apple Watches or whatever, it's got to be more than just one person that is doing this from behind the scene. This is a large, in my opinion, organization of students to get this done. So this is not Captain James T. Kirk reprogramming the simulation to go from a no-win scenario. This is a mass cheating scandal, in my opinion. This is more than one person behind the scenes.
It probably is. According to the article in the paper, they're still researching just how far it goes. This is just what they announced now and what the paper ran with. So I would not be surprised to find that it is more in-depth and more sophisticated than anyone anticipates. I mean, come on, there's one constant. We all know people are always going to try and find a way to cheat on tests and things like that. It's just a matter of figuring out ways to make it more difficult to do so.
So my question to you, Chris, is does WVU have a major or a master's degree or some sort of degree in mass organizational skills? Because somebody had to put this together, and that individual should get an honorable degree and be able to graduate.
You get your degree for cheating. Woo!
Organizing the cheating.
Not that I know of, but I spent most of my time on the College of Engineering. So your guess is as good as mine, what might be in some of their colleges.
You have systems engineering. That's all about organization.
Amongst other things, yes.
All right, well, let's go ahead and move off of the Apple Watches because nobody really wants to talk about the Apple Watches. And let's just go ahead and talk about the Apple Watches.
Yeah.
What do you mean, no, SP?
No, we were done with that. Let's move on. Let's move on to the next news point.
That is the next news point. We got to talk about more Apple Watches because they're such a big thing right now.
I can't believe you did that to the listener.
I know. So the Apple Watch that we were just talking about, it sounds great. You know, it's got all these features. It can tell the time. It can sit on your wrist. It can help you cheat at WVU. All of these selling features sound fantastic. But the problem is when you end up having it essentially explode on your wrist, that's a problem. And what I mean by explode is actually the battery swelling, so then it displaces the display, thus breaking the display, and you've got troubles because now you can't use your Apple Watch. That's right. This is actually a thing that has been happening with the Apple Watch. You heard it last year all about the problems that Samsung have. Well, obviously we talked about the problems of batteries, and this is an example of that. You know, all these electronic devices have batteries, and you think about what a smartwatch does. It's got to do a lot of the same things that a phone does with a much smaller battery. And what happened was, yes, they did start to swell, and Apple has acknowledged this and has extended the warranty on certain Apple Watches up from 1 year to 2 years because of the fact that this is happening. They acknowledge the problem and they are extending the warranty. Now, this to me, it's great to see Apple finally, acknowledging something in the open, making the changes, but it's scary to me that if I had an Apple Watch, I might all of a sudden notice it swelling on my wrist. That's scary.
Well, you're just wearing it the wrong way, Stephen.
Hey, they didn't do that this time. This time, they acknowledged the problem and they extended the warranty.
Yet.
This is interesting because we've seen reports of Apple 6 Plus, Apple 6S, Apple 7 phones doing the same things that the Samsung Note 7 did, but they were suppressed. The news reports were suppressed, and we suspected that Apple was buying their silence. I think the same thing has happened here. I think there's been more than one instance of this happening, and by Apple extending the warranty by a year, they're acknowledging that this is they can't keep it silent, that there's going to be so many cases of this that it's going to get out, and it's going to be detrimental to Apple because there's so many people with these Gen 1 products, because you can even get a Gen 1 product now, even though the Gen 2s are out, right?
They're selling the Gen 1s as the cheaper variant of the Apple Watch, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, but I'm assuming, though, the ones they're selling now, it's probably a lot of serial numbers, I would think, but maybe not. Maybe it's just like, we'll just deal with it if it comes up. I don't know.
I don't know either, but it's interesting that Apple's done this because they usually just say, hey, it's not a big deal.
Well, anyways, if you got yourself an Apple Watch, and I know that SP, your family members do have an Apple Watch, keep this in mind that you get an extra year warranty, likely, if all of a sudden that battery starts to swell. And just take a look at it, because we've seen this sort of things before. Like, I know, Chris, you had this happen with your Nexus 5, your Nexus 5, right? Where all of a sudden the battery started to swell, and then you could actually visually see the difference, right?
Yes, but I did not notice that until I was like, why is my NFC not working on this? I took my phone case off, and it was only noticeable when the case was off the phone. I looked, I went, oh, that's because my battery's swollen up. And I said, maybe that's why my battery life has been in the crapper lately too. So yes, it does happen with cell phones and other devices like that, especially as they age and especially if they get a lot of wear and tear on that battery. It seems like it's more prevalent to happen. So good for Apple for backing up the support for a longer time frame. I mean, that's the customer-centric way to go with it.
It's what Samsung should have done. They should have just kept the devices out there and just extended the warranty. That's what they should have done.
And give you a little free assurance so when it explodes and burns down your house.
It was sarcasm, SP. It was sarcasm. It was complete sarcasm.
So many instances, and it was so bad when it happened. Oh, by the way, Mom, this is Steven making up to you every bad thing that he said at the beginning. He's trying to warn you. Your Apple Gen 1 watch, just be careful of the temperature of it on your wrist.
Hey, whoa. Who bought that? You bought that? Did you gift it to her?
Somebody did. Yeah.
Yes. So if something goes
Santa
wrong,
Claus.
if something's wrong, it's on you, SP.
You
gave
Santa
your
Claus.
mom an exploding watch, SP? How dare you?
Just because you were trying to goad me into giving my family members tech for Christmas.
He flipped it on you.
Seriously, in all seriousness, though, if you got an Apple Watch, you want to be careful of this and just keep your eyes on it and talk to Apple if something goes wrong. But I agree with Chris. Actually, I got to say kudos to them for owning up to this problem and extending the warranty. Now, do you think that there's going to be a warranty extension on those spacesuits, SP?
There better be, because Apple's not the only one with a problem. NASA has a legitimate problem with their spacesuits to the tune of $200 million. Now, where does that come from and what does it mean? Well, it means that it's threatening future deep space exploration plans. And let's just take a quick step back. The spacesuits that are in use right now on the International Space Station that NASA has up there are from the Space Shuttle program. There are only 11 functional suits left, 4 of which are on the International Space Station. These 11 suits, including the 4 up on the International Space Station, have to last through the duration of the ISS program, which is 2024. Yep, that's right. 2024, which is another, 7 years? So these 11 spacesuits have to last another 7 years. Okay.
So are we getting NASA's spacesuit emporium soon? Is that what we're getting now? We're going to get used spacesuits for sale?
Yeah, I guess so. Listen, we've talked about the rockets that are revitalizing the space program. We've talked about the manned capsules that are in development right now. The one thing that we really haven't talked about on this podcast, at least, are the spacesuits, which are a legitimate problem. It's a huge problem. So NASA has had 3 separate spacesuits in development for the last 10 years. And they spent roughly about $200 million on these 3 separate developments. Do they have a new spacesuit? No. Why don't they have a new spacesuit? Well, because it's so nebulous as to when the time frame is on when they actually need it. I think this is a failure of management myself, and NASA has had a lot of things to worry about. Spacesuits are kind of the last thing to worry about because they're not that difficult to use, but you have to test them. And if you don't test them before you run out of time on the International Space Station, then it's back to the Apollo program and the Gemini program, where you're literally taking spacewalks for the first time in a experimental space vehicle. And it's a lot of moving parts, a lot of new moving parts all at once that doesn't necessarily need to be there. Okay. So NASA had an audit done by their internal inspector general. And they've taken a look at the spacesuit program as a whole, just as an internal audit. Government agencies get audited all the time by the Congressional Budget Office or whatever audit agency is the Governmental Accounting Office, whatever budget agency is actually in charge of oversight for your department. And NASA has an internal one called the NASA Office of Inspector General. So one of the spacesuits that has been in development has been the Constellation program spacesuit. Now, this program was canceled by NASA, but they kept the actual spacesuit construction design ongoing, and it's done by a third-party company called Oceaneering International. So there's that ongoing. NASA has a couple of internal programs that are ongoing as well, one for interior spacesuits and one for an EVA or extravehicular activity. And the problem is, in the end of 2018, President Trump has said, I want you to go around the moon. Now, where have we heard this before? Oh, yeah, SpaceX. SpaceX wants to go around the moon with their experimental capsule in 2018. So NASA, Elon Musk has said, we will defer to NASA if they want to go back as well, because this would be the anniversary of the Apollo 8 flight around the moon. Well, NASA is being pushed to actually make it happen in the Orion space capsule, and the problem is they don't have any space suits to go along with that. So that might be a little tight time frame as we go from now until at the end of 2018, when this is supposed to take place. And that mission, by the way, is called the Explorer Mission 1 or EM1. So, guys, this is a big issue. NASA has said that they agree with the findings of the audit, but they've got a lot of work to do. So I'm going to keep my eye on NASA for this, because if they don't get these suits, it's going to be a showstopper.
Yeah, that's definitely a problem, because I think like when you're going to go to space, you want to have a spacesuit.
Yeah, you want to go with clean underwear too.
Chris, are you going to go to space anytime soon?
I'm going to wear Iron Man armor when I go to space. I'm going to have Tony Stark build my spacesuit for me.
There's the solution right there. Get on this, NASA.
Now, if Tony Stark was a real individual, that actually might be a possibility, but he's not.
Tony Stark is Elon Musk.
Well, he's developing his own spacesuits to go along with the Falcon program. Yeah.
So then I'll wear a SpaceX spacesuit when I go to space.
You're gonna have a dragon on you, a dragon suit.
Yes, I'm gonna paint it onto the glass of my helmet. This big gaping giant dragon maw.
You gonna get a dragon tattoo to go over your chrome dome?
No, because I don't like needles.
Well,
hold on. Did we just learn
drunk,
that Chris is the man with the dragon tattoo? Is that what we just learned?
I think we just did. Yeah, he agreed to it.
You guys don't want to know where that tattoo is.
Please don't show us.
It's on my tushy.
I've seen it.
I don't want to know.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to our last news point here, which is about Nintendo. Oh, man. We are so hurt this year by Nintendo. Nintendo made us a beloved Nintendo NES Classic. We wanted it. We tried to get it. Some of us succeeded, some of us failed. Most of us failed because they only made like 20 of them. Then Chris ended up bringing
19.
us 19. Chris ended up bringing up an interesting exclusive that apparently they were discontinuing it. He got that ahead of everybody. And sure enough, that was confirmed. They were discontinuing it. Well, recently Nintendo spoke about this, and what they said was that the NES Classic is being discontinued because it was intended only as a holiday item, and that from their perspective, it's time to move on. That's essentially what they said.
Revisionist history.
Yeah, now I gotta say, like, I understand that it was made for Christmas only. However, it's like you try to get some goodwill with people so you can, double your sales next year for the SNES Classic and succeed? I don't know.
What do they need goodwill for? They just sold 2.1 million Switches in 2 months. They've already got the goodwill, man.
That's a fair
They had
point,
to
I
get
guess.
Switches here so fast that instead of sending them on a boat like they normally do, they flew them over to the United States for distribution. I mean, I wish they were still doing the NES Classic. I believe what we originally heard is true. The fact that, hey, they used a bunch of spare parts that were running out that they were just going to throw away anyways. And now those are all gone. They don't have any more. So they're easy to say, okay, we're just going to stop making this. And yes, there's probably some truth to the rumor. We might see an SNES Classic coming this holiday season, but what I think is more likely is they've seen, again, we see people really want these classic games, an easy way to play it. Maybe we need to hurry up and get the Virtual Console and the eShop working on the Nintendo Switch now so that we can sell all of these same games on our newest console that everybody wants.
I gotta say that if they do that, they gotta come out with accessories somehow, because that is, for me, as somebody who did get an NES Classic and somebody who actually recently dug out their Nintendo Wii for their son to play and realized that he had the emulator on there, totally forgot about that. I paid for the games back in the day. It sucks on the Wii compared to the NES Classic, because the NES Classic, they upscaled to a degree. They did a good job with the graphics. It looks much better than what the thing they sold on the Wii. And the second thing was, it was the classic controller that made the difference. If I had myself a Switch and I was able to go buy the games, it would not give me the same experience as I got with an NES Classic. So that's what I gotta say. If they're gonna go ahead and really push that, they better find a way to emulate that for me.
I got a question, guys. Can you play Halo on the Switch?
No, it's a Microsoft property.
Oh well. Not going to get the Switch then.
Yeah, but you can play Zelda Breath of the Wild, which is Game of the Year.
Can I ask you, SB, is that your measure? Can I play Halo on it? Get the console? If can't get Halo? Don't get the
Really,
console?
Mass Effect is, but Halo it's got to be a combination to Mass Effect and Halo. Yeah.
Do you own a PS4?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Just asking that question.
I did it to dip my toe into the PS area. And, oh, by the way, I might actually try that PS View and just try it out and see what it's like. Yeah, I might do it. If it's only like $25 a month or something like that, might as well try it.
Depending on the plan you get.
I gotta say though, like for me, I've got a PS3, I've got an Xbox, I've considered an Xbox 360, I've considered a PS4 or an Xbox One, and now how much time has been out for you to see everything, and I don't know. For me, the gameplay, just like the controller style and stuff. I used to be a big PlayStation guy, but I would go Xbox for sure. If I was gonna go drop money tomorrow, I would go Xbox. It's more up my alley. It feels better to me.
Yeah, I bought 2 Xbox Ones at Christmas, and I'm still enjoying the fact that I actually bought them because I have them in multiple locations. Like this past weekend, I was able to use one, which was awesome. And I watched Guardians of the Galaxy on my Vudu account, which was awesome.
That's awesome. Sweet. Well, anyways, your NES Classic is done, and if they have a SNES Classic next year, no, it'll probably also be for the holidays, so you better get it, and better get it quick, because they won't make more.
Typical Nintendo.
I was going to say, you were about to say something. I feel like you were about to hold something up, no?
No, I'm good.
Okay, all right, well, let's go ahead and move on to our last segment of the night. This week, we have a fun new segment that's not really new. It's just a version of Chris Taps That App, but it's not an app. And in the intro for Tap That App, you talk about how Chris likes gadgets, and, it just wouldn't work to call it Chris Taps That App. So he's going to tell you all about something crazy geeky that I had not heard about till he told me about this. And I am super excited about this product. You pretty much can count my money absolutely gone on this unless Chris changes my mind in the next 15 minutes. Chris, what do you got?
So Steven's setting the bar high. If you've watched the Gonna Geek show before, you know that Steven and I have been dabbling a great deal in home automation. And in my case, the Amazon Echo is the brains of my home automation for easy interaction. I've got it set up so that it'll play, or rather turn on everything in my entertainment center. It turns on lights in the house, things like that. And I have taken a bunch of the Echo Dots and I've placed them throughout my house. Now, one of the problems is when you go to listen to music on your Echo Dot, anything like that, the speaker inside is less than average at best. It's really good for voice services and things like that, but when you go to play music, it's not so great. So in my house, I've got some of my Dots plugged into stereos that are in the house, but I had a couple that were just sitting there on their own, and I was going, I would love to be able to find something that allows me to hook them up into a bigger speaker and just be convenient about it instead of having to run a bunch of cables and things like that. Just be easy to do. And honestly, how I found out about what I'm going to tell you guys about now is through an ad that showed up on slickdeals.net. I actually clicked on one of these ads for one time. So yes, ads actually do work. I found a product called the Vox by a company called 97 Life. And what it is basically a speaker dock / battery dock for Amazon Echo Dots. The current generation, if you have one of the Gen 1 Dots that came out, I think 2 years ago now, that were really short run, it will not work for that. But how does it work? Let me hold up the box real quick. It's real simple. Basically, here's what the Vox is from the back. You drop your Echo into this dock, you plug in the battery pack, and you plug in the 3.4, the headphone jack rather, and then it's hooked into a speaker. And here's what you get in the end. Here is my Echo Dot plugged into this. I'll turn it on so that you guys can see that it is actually connected. It's muted. And what you have here is literally this drops in, and I will show the back panel here. Plug in my two cables, power and headphone jack, and I have a battery powered speaker that lasts for 6 hours of playing music. The standby time is higher. Yes, SP.
So if I wanted to connect it to my mixing board, my Mackie Pro FX 16V2, could I use that portable battery and still connect it to my mixing board?
This does not have an auxiliary out on the back of the speaker. It only has an auxiliary in addition to a USB plug to power it. So there is no output from the speaker itself to be able to plug into your mixer.
So you couldn't just plug in the power into the back of the Dot and then leave the 3.5 millimeter out?
Yeah, you could certainly do that if you wanted to, because literally this is just a silicone pack, a silicone cover that covers the back, and you could just choose not to plug in the headphone jack and plug that into your mixer if you wanted to.
So you can use the portable battery, and you can. Okay.
But I think you could also just take a phone battery pack and hook it up to an Echo Dot too. So if you're just gonna, my point is, if you're just gonna use it as battery, then just get yourself a battery pack.
No, I wanted to use it as a mobile speaker around the house, but when it came time to do the podcast, then I could take my Dot and I could just plug it in to the board and not have to worry about plugging in power.
I apologize, SP. I misunderstood your question on that.
You better apologize, Mr. Wong.
I apologize. I was wrong. I was incorrect.
So, and how this works is it's basically in essence a speaker dock that has a battery pack in it, and you just take the cord that comes with your Echo, plug it into the back of it, and it keeps it charged until you disconnect it and take it anywhere that you have Wi-Fi to continue using Amazon Voice services. Now, here is why it became a good thing for me is the speaker quality in this dock, I think, is better than what is in the full-size Amazon Echo that I have in my house. I think it sounds better. And then when you compare the cost, the full-size Echo is what, $179? A Dot is $50. This dock by 97 Life, $50. So you're talking $100 to replicate and have better sound what the current Echo has. And be mobile. Now, caveat is you have to still be connected to the internet to be able to use those Amazon Voice services that are out there. If you left your Wi-Fi, this is basically a dead puck then. It does nothing as if it's not on Wi-Fi.
Right, but how awesome is that? You've got it there in your living room, and let's say you got a pool room or something like that, right? You know, like a billiards room or something, right? I don't have one because, you know, I'm not rich, but people like SP might have a billiards room. So then you just take it from your living room and you take it down to your billiards room, right? How awesome would that be?
It's pretty cool. I gave it a try. Like I said, I clicked on an ad and was like, oh, I don't know about this, but let me do it. And $50 well spent. Like I said, I think it does better audio quality than what the full-size Echo does, which is astounding to me. And I have since moved this one to my living room and kept the other one in my kitchen where the full-size Echo is with no problem. And the only issue I've really had with this one is when I've been using the dot in standalone mode, I give it a command to say play music. And then if I say the keyword, which I don't want to say to trigger things, it generally turns the music down a little bit on there so that it can hear what I'm saying. When it's plugged into this speaker, the music keeps playing at the same volume even after I've triggered it. So sometimes it doesn't hear me quite as easily. Now, I've only had that happen a few times, but it's still kind of an inconvenience and kind of annoying. I think it's totally worth it for the trade-off of better sound, 6 hours battery life playing music. You can take it anywhere you need to around the house. And it's just regular micro USB plug on the bottom. And we have those adapters lying around everywhere in our house. So worst comes to worst, oh no, my battery's dying. Well, let me just take my cell phone charger and plug it into that for now.
I need to tell you guys a little secret, just between us, right? So
it's just between us.
My sister, she sometimes has a hard time getting up for work. So what my dad will do is he will put the Amazon devices, don't want to, like activate any. So the Amazon devices volume at 10 and tell it to play Reveille, which gets my sister out into the kitchen to try to stop it. And she can't because the volume number is at 10. And so she eventually just unplugs it.
You said Reveille?
Reveille,
yeah,
yes.
Reveille. So then what he would say is, Alexa, volume 10. Alexa, play Reveille. Is that what they would do?
Yeah, that's what they would do. And you just activated somebody's device and they're going to hate you.
Someone who's listening right now is very upset. And I will say if they're plugged into one of these and have it set to volume 10, they're going to blow their windows out because I did it just for S and Gs to see how loud it would get. I set it to volume 10 and I was like, hey, A-word, play music by Disturbed. And if you've listened to Disturbed, you know that's pretty heavy music. And it starts playing. I'm like, holy crap. I'm like, oh, volume 2. This is on volume 2 in my living room. And I can hear it everywhere on the first floor of my house.
Wow.
Imagine being outside at a party or something like that where everyone's like, oh, we want to listen to some music.
You go ahead and send your hate mail to js@gotageek.com.
So this is a cool product. I'm really excited to see how many other people get interested by it. I've seen some similar ones on Amazon, but none of them have the speaker associated with it. There's another one. Let me pull up the link real quick when my mouse starts working again. It's called the Fremo Evo. That is basically just a 6-hour battery pack that plugs into the bottom of an Echo Dot. There is no associated speaker. It's $33. So I said, you know what? I'll pay the extra $17 or whatnot. I'll get the speaker. I greatly like the speaker that I did get. I got it in black to match my Echo Dot. You can also get it in white since the Echoes are available in both colors, and it seems to match real well. So if you are someone who has bought a lot of Echo Dots and you want better sound, $50 upgrade, not terrible, and I greatly enjoy it. Now the real question is, are they going to stay on top of this? Say Amazon puts out Echo Dot Gen 3. No guarantee it's going to fit in these docks. Are they going to re-engineer a solution then? Are they going to re-engineer a solution for the Echo Snap that's coming? Who knows?
That's a good question, Chris. How long are these really going to last? You and I both have dots. We've both shown them on this podcast. How long are these supposed to last? Are they supposed to last just a couple of years? How long will they be supported by Amazon? So all good questions, but I have one. So if I get one of those speakers, it'd be awesome. I've been waiting for an affordable, awesome speaker like that. So I just might.
There's really no reason they would stop supporting those devices because they're dumb devices that reach back to servers. So there's really nothing that's unique to the hardware itself that's out there other than the tools they have for the 7 mic array and being able to tell which device you're closest to. I don't see any real way they could be, we're going to stop supporting the Gen 1 devices because it's basically the same guts as what's in the Gen 2 devices right now.
And I've been waiting until they go on sale again in order to get more for my house because I have a couple more locations that I want them. And until then, I have been taking this Dot with me from room to room. So one of those speakers would come in really handy. And as you pointed out, if you want to upgrade more devices in your house, I don't have to wait for a sale now. I can get one of these, get one of those speakers, and off to the races I go.
Well, in SP, they are doing a sale on the Dots right now. It's buy 3, get $20 off, I think it is.
Yeah, I just want one. I don't want 3.
Okay, that's the problem. Yeah, you're going to have to wait until probably Black Friday for that then.
I gotta say though, like if this is true, like if you keep using this and you find the speaker is better than the Echo, unless the full size Echo actually has like better pickup or something, won't that try to force Amazon's hand to bring down the price a bit?
I don't know that they're really going to care that much because this is not an unheard of product that people are putting out there. These battery packs that have little speakers associated to do things, because you can buy similar products for the full size Echoes right now. I saw some of those on Amazon. So I don't think they care as much. And the other thing we have to consider is Amazon's in the middle of, they just announced what was it, the Echo Snap, which is their Echo device that has a camera built into it for fashion purposes. There's a rumor also that they're going to be dropping next month the Echo that has an LCD touch screen on it. So the home automation device, the smart assistant device war rather, it's on right now between Google, between Amazon, between rumor has it Apple's going to be announcing the Siri speaker at Worldwide Developers Conference next month. The war is on, so I think this is just going to encourage Apple and Amazon and Google to all continue evolving, and you're going to have these vendors out there that go, hey, I have this product that can support what they've already designed that people are going to want.
So the Dot plus that $50 speaker is still less than the Tap, which
correct.
is their mobile version.
Right. And one thing to keep in mind is it's only recent that the Tap made it so that you didn't have to actually hit a button to trigger Amazon Voice Services. That's a very new addition, like within the last 2 or 3 months. It used to be you had to hit the voice button to get it to hear you. It was not passively listening.
So the camera thing is one thing that I gotta say is very interesting. As somebody who has looked into his log of Amazon Echo and seen all, well, sorry, I didn't say her name, who has seen all of the different commands recorded in there, I am very fearful of the camera feature within it.
Well, we here on this podcast are not the target demographic for that camera feature. The target demographic is those people like, I want to be fashionable and I want to know, does this outfit go with this? Or can Amazon help me find something to supplement this? That's what the design is for that. It's not for people like you and I that are like, I'm going to wear my geek t-shirt and shorts today and I don't give a damn.
Or people like you and I who are like, I have fashion sense as it is.
They're talking about a camera. Yes. They're talking about a camera device in people's bathrooms, in their bedrooms, in their closets. I see all sorts of bad things coming out with this.
Yeah, I have no problem with my phone. Like, I know that Google's listening. It's always the case. I don't care. I know it's got a camera, but I also am aware that if I'm using my phone on the crapper, and I'm looking at it, I know there's a chance somebody could be looking, but it's really, really easy to forget about these devices that just sit there. They're just sitting there, right? It's super easy to forget about them. And again, hacking could even just be legitimate use. And we've seen the situation where courts have been trying to pull and seize Amazon Echo logs and stuff like that. And so it's just, I don't know, to me,
so
it makes me a little weird.
Your point on hacking, if you hack Amazon like that, it'd be impressive. I mean, because remember, their bread and butter right now is like, come buy products from us. Our servers are secure. We keep all of your personal information, your credit card information, all of that safe. There could be an argument to be made. I'm not saying it's impossible to do, but it'd probably be very tough to go in and drill down deep enough to be able to pull that information that's collected from the Amazon Voice Services devices. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very tough, and Amazon is very motivated to make it so that nobody ever gets in there.
True, but it doesn't mean there wouldn't be authorized misuse, right? Because, somebody's got access to that stuff.
Well, I mean, that's the question. Where do you draw the line of how far you trust these companies with these personal assistants and things like that? I mean, because remember, we've talked about it before. You have your smartphone on you. You're basically carrying a GPS device that allows Google, allows 911, allows anyone that has access to your phone to know where you are at any moment in time.
As long as it tells you where I am, I'm okay with it, Chris.
You're at snasa.space because you're the director of SNASA.
Yeah. Well, Chris, any final thoughts on this? Because again, I am very impressed with what you've told me so far.
So I've had it since Friday. Like I said, I've greatly enjoyed my experience with it so far. I haven't gotten to do a ton with it, but I have made a point of taking it around the house, of triggering it to do things. For $50, I feel like I got my money's worth out of it. So now, one thing, bear in mind, they didn't pay me. I bought this with my own money. This is a product I wanted to try out. I like it. If you have an Echo Dot and you want to be able to supplement it with better sound and portability, I think it's well worth checking out. And if you want to go find it for yourself, the URL to head to is 97life.com. Spell out 90, the number 7life.com. It's in the chat room right now. I'm not trying to tell you to go and buy one. If it's something that you think would be a good fit for your use case around the house, it's worth checking out. There's free shipping on it too, which is the nice thing.
How long
Just
did
super
it take
easy
to get
URL.
It was less than a week to get to me. I ordered it on a Sunday. It showed up at my house on Friday, and then the problem was the postal service had it stuck in limbo for a day longer than it was supposed to be. But I've had a lot of issues with the United States Postal Service lately, so your mileage may vary.
Well, thanks so much for talking about that. It's like I said, right up my alley, and I hadn't heard about this till you told me about it. So thank you so much, Chris. And I can't wait to hear what you think about it going forward. But I know I've got some use for this. So a really, really cool idea.
Not available in Canada. No, I have no idea.
I'll
I have no
guarantee
idea.
it's not, but I got my ways. It's like the Amazon Echo itself is not available in Canada, but I own myself one. So yeah. But that is taking us to the end of the show. Before we wrap up, I just want to take a moment here to plug the official GonnaGeek.com site. There's a lot of great websites or great podcasts on that website. A lot of people who put a lot of hard work into there. So I encourage you to please check it out. And if you like something, reach out to the author or the podcaster, whoever it is, and tell them that you like it, because it's all volunteer. We all just do it because we like to geek out. So please check out GonnaGeek.com. And if you like something, reach out to somebody and let them know. Chris, you got anything that you want to plug or promote?
Hey, Steven, I just wanted to let you know I really like that official GonnaGeek.com show, so keep up the hard work.
Is that sarcasm? Because I feel like I don't deserve any actual thanks.
Actually, in all seriousness, I was going along with the fact you're saying reach out and talk to your podcasters and hosts. And this is just further proof of it. For those that aren't aware who listen to the audio version, Steven is remoted in from his hotel room, and he's still switching all of the scenes, and things are still pretty damn seamless, and he's killing it right now. So kudos to you, Steven. This show and the production value behind it are the high mark to which I strive to make my shows reach.
Oh, well, thank you. It's easy for me to do when I have fun with you guys. Like it's super easy to do. And this was a fun test for me because I've been wanting to test this for a very long time. And I gotta say, the biggest hurdle that I am seeing right now with everything I got set up, just to geek out for a minute here, is the laptop I'm using right now. I've said for a while, I need a new laptop, and that's my biggest throttle here right now that I've got going on. So yeah, maybe in the new year, maybe in the summer, I'll have to get myself a new
Everyone
laptop.
help Steven get a Surface Book or a Surface Pro.
SP, do you got anything that you want to plug or promote?
I absolutely do. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 comes out this weekend. Hopefully, Steven will get the podcast out before this weekend, but if not, it was last weekend. Anyway, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is coming out this weekend. Go and see it. It's going to be a riot. You get little baby dancing Groot and everything. And watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1 before you go see it. I did it last weekend. It was well worth it. All the fun was still there. And I just can't wait for this weekend. It's going to be amazing. And of course, we're probably going to talk about it on Legends of S.H.I.E.L.D. this weekend. So stay tuned for that podcast coming out soon.
Anybody got anything else? Going once? Going twice?
Put your pants back on, Steven. We know you're podcasting from the hotel bathroom.
Well, that is the end of the show for episode 190 of the official GonnaGeek.com show. I'm Steven John Drew saying thanks for being so cool, SP's mom.
I'm not wearing any pants.
It's good to be back in the studio. See you guys next week. Bye!
Boy, Suncast sure looks different, doesn't he?
He does.
Shaved off his beard.
Thanks for checking out another episode of the GonnaGeek.com show. If you enjoyed it, please give us a 5-star review in iTunes or a thumbs up on YouTube. We encourage you to send your feedback by email to show@GonnaGeek.com. You can find our entire archive at GonnaGeek.com/show. And while you're there, why not check out all of the other geeky content on the Gonna Geek Network? Want to chime into our live chat? Join us Mondays at 8:45 p.m. Eastern at www.geeks.live. The music heard on this show is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com. This show was produced and edited by Steven John Drew of Gonna Geek Productions. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.